Coming up today on the Nice Guys on Business.
Now there's strategy, and the strategy will continue to become more important in terms of like the vehicle in which you want to deliver that thing across. Now that could be, again, podcasting. There's a lot of different ways to be successful with podcasting, whether that's having your SEO type for search, whether that's doing social clips in and around that, whether that's a good intro and hook to let people know what they're about to listen to. All of these things, which help. Short form, I could talk about for 30 minutes, different strategies. Right now, carousels of music, like all of those things as to what the platforms might show a little bit more of. But if the substance that's filling the pipe is only done because you think someone else is going to like you more because of it, that will fall out quick and you will never get past the thing. All the biggest creators are people that I've talked to that have had the most amount of growth. They're doing it because it's something that they love doing, and then they decided they're going to show the world about it.
Well, let's say this Twinkie represents the normal amount of psychokinetic energy in the New York area. Based on this morning's sample, it would be a Twinkie 35 feet long, weighing approximately the same as the Nice Guys on Business. Go from where you are now to where you could be. Get expert tips to grow your business, to be more productive and more efficient, whether you're trying to build influence, grow your community, or make it rain. Best-selling author of Nice Guys Finish First, Doug Sandler, can lead the way. The Nice Guys on Business is produced by TurnKey Podcast Productions. Now, here's your host, Doug Sandler.
All right, with his last guest appearance on The Nice Guys being back in May of 2017, literally 1,300 episodes ago, Tyler Schmitt, then right-hand man to Gary Vee, has continued making moves. Now VP of Core Relationships at Vaynerchuk, unless he's changed in the last few weeks. I don't know that. Tyler is back to share the journey he's been on, here to talk about the importance of staying close to the action. Welcome back, Tyler, to The Nice Guys.
It's great to see you, Doug. Thank you. I've been really looking forward to this. Thanks for having me back.
Happy to have you back, man. It's so cool to watch your journey over the last 8+ years since you've been here. Let's see what's happened. A pandemic, the creation and proliferation of AI, dinosaur extinction, everything else.
Yep.
What's been going on with you? So bring me up to date.
Journey, for real. Well, life's been good. I guess I'm a couple of years older now. I'm like staring 34 down the barrel. I feel like I was literally just 23 working at this company, and we were just kind of trying to figure it all out. Vaynerchuk's 2,000 plus employees now. We have 15 different offices. I live here in the city. I live with my partner, my girlfriend. Family's getting older. Life's moving forward. We just got back from Super Bowl weekend in New Orleans.
I saw that on your socials.
At that time, Patrick Mahomes was probably like maybe a first-year quarterback. He's like, getting ready to get into the Hall of Fame. But no, all is good. AI was definitely a thing I was thinking about as I'm like, I wonder what we're going to talk about and what's been going on in life. It's like I've had a fun week. In tune with myself in a lot of ways. And
right,
like you said, it just continues to feel like the closer you are to the doing and the learning, the more advantage you have. And I feel like I've learned that a lot over my kind of journey of 11 years here working at this company as it continues to grow and expand. And you look left, you look right, you look at people doing different things. You think you understand what happiness or success might look like, growth and all of those things. And I always am just most excited when I feel like I am really actively with my hands on the thing that is either making impact or learning. And right now it's like I feel like I'm in a state of almost when I first started at Vayner, which was 2013, and I was so into what was going on with tech, Apple, the iPhone. I first got my iPhone, I think, in 2010, I think that was. So I think the App Store came out around 2011, 2012. And I was just in it, reading a lot, understanding, downloading the new apps as they came out, playing with them. That was early Vayner, really having an understanding. And then social. putting brands on social for the first time, Daily V, all of those things. And now, as it just keeps getting crazier and crazier and crazier, crypto, AI, just the internet keeps rearing its head. I'm back in a place of like, okay, if I don't spend an hour a day trying to use these tools to
Yeah.
further whatever I'm trying to accomplish, I feel like I'll get left behind. And it's been really cool and really fun to feel like a
Well,
kid because it's really fulfilling.
I think about the different perspectives. I'm 60, and I think about the different perspectives that I have had through the various parts of my life. Whether it's my kids are about the same age as you. My son is 27. My daughter is 31, and I think about the different parts of your life that you go through. What you were going through at early 20s is a whole different world than what you're going through in your early 30s. And I know that while it may not seem to somebody that's in their 50s or 60s or even 70s as you're listening to this nice guy community, it may not seem like there is a lot of growth in someone that skips those 10 through those 10 years in your 20s to 30s. But damn, that is a defining part of your life where you start to understand the importance of doing things like staying around the heat, patience, consistency, persistence, all of those kind of characteristics. I'd love to to talk about that because that
Yeah,
portion of your life since you've been with with Gary V, has just been such a huge, impactful part of your life. So I'd love to hear more
totally.
about that part of your journey.
Yeah, it's and it's funny. It's like for some reason it feels like I'm really in a state of it right now, and the word just like kind of came to me, almost like refinement, if you will. Like I think that everything and everyone, whether it's the seasons or not to get all like heady, but like there's kind of growth and expansion and then refinement and whittle down and then kind of like regrow back in a lot of ways. And so much has happened and there was so many fun experiences and travel the world, meet amazing people, work on insanely impactful projects, being along for the ride, just in terms of the awareness of Gary's brand alone. At times we talk about Gary Vaynerchuk human, Gary V the brand, and lifelong friends I've worked with and made. And um, just now coming to a point, 137, I worked there for 2, 3 years within our ecosystem to help build up
Mhm.
that brand. Um, just coming to a point where I feel like I'm kind of making decisions, or what I'd say deciding what not to focus on so that my time can go back to building something up, in terms of a new lesson, a new skill. Like just last night I was making dinner and I was like, I'm really enjoying this. And the amount of times in my 20s that I like actually stopped to cook a meal was few and far between,
Yeah.
and now I live with my girl and try to take certain nights here and there where we're just us. We watched the Westminster Dog Show and I made tacos and I just like really enjoyed it because I was like, I want to get better to learn how to make
Gotta
great
be.
meals,
Yeah. Yeah.
and so it's fun. It's cool. I think that again, like you said, it's just about the action. And for a long time, I thought of scaling and delegating and what we would call about like expanding your bandwidth almost of capabilities to do meant like take your hands off. But as I went through a lot of that process
Yeah.
and I realized that you have to always have something that you're getting the dirt under your nails with
Yeah, of
and
course.
learning, whether that's editing or something to keep you sharp. Now you can have those other areas, but that can't be the whole pie. Otherwise, at least me would feel unfulfilled. So I'm enjoying it. I think we're entering another chapter of internet, if you will, whether you want to look at that through the blockchain lens, whether you want to look through that AI lens, whether you want to look through that of media
Right.
distribution lens,
Right.
yourself, like the GQ.com or ESPN.com or the five or six behemoths, the New York Times.com are
Hmm.
really all being upended by millions of versions of what we're doing right here. And it's been bubbling for 10 years. Gary's talked about it for 15 years. But it feels like there's a bit of an inflection point happening.
Well, tell me what you're and again, I had no idea where the conversation was going to go, but you brought up a really interesting subject. I didn't think about it. Thank you, by the way, for mentioning me in the same sentence that you mentioned GQ. I love that. Not that there's any
Of
correlation there,
course.
but there is such an abundance of. I'm going to put me in the category of little guy for a moment, even though we've been doing this for now 10 years. This month, we're celebrating 1,600
That's
episodes.
amazing.
Crazy how long we've been doing this. But I include me in the little guy media perspective because we're not a name brand or a household
Mhm.
label. But there are labels like NewYorkTimes.com, and I listen to The Daily and a bunch of different
Yeah.
podcasts that have huge millions of audience members. But I find that the shows that have the greatest impact, at least for me, are the ones that have hundreds or maybe just a few
Yeah.
thousand listens as opposed to millions of listens. What's your perspective as a larger media type of organization? What do you feel about the little guy? The guys like the
Well,
nice
that's
guys.
the point that I'm going
Right,
at is that
right.
I actually don't think they're any different.
Okay, well, tell me.
I really don't, because if you just peel away, okay, more individuals may listen to them, but on an impact of one, which, in the like history of the world, you just need one. You
Right.
just need one
Agree.
person,
Agreed.
like, okay, not long ago, I was like a live, thoughtful human being when what you're doing was simply not possible at all.
Right.
Not
Right.
possible at all.
Right.
Meaning you couldn't, it wasn't just like people weren't aware of it. You just couldn't do it. Like you couldn't be at your house and interview anyone in the world.
Right.
Just as I was in the car coming over here, and then I wasn't even thinking about this podcast, but I retweeted this, and it's like I still cannot believe Tim Urban put out something. All these things, video call anyone in my life at any time, no matter where they are. These things are crazy, and so then
Yeah.
it just plays out of like, okay, it's the Nice Guys podcast and New York Times podcast.
Right.
And under it is one might have a bigger audience. But if you look at the platforms socially, they actually gone will be the days that your following count matters. And it's going to be just
Love it.
interest based and everything's going to be so curated. And we've yet to see there will be a time, I believe, very, very strongly that we will look at the iPhone no different than we look at how people used to have to walk into a huge room and use a punch card to work with a computer.
Right.
It
Right.
just, it just fundamentally doesn't make sense to take our brain power and put it through two thumbs to access the thing. And the screen is tiny and actually just doesn't make sense. And so when that goes away, then what's the difference between you and the New York Times when you're just asking Alexa to put on a good podcast?
Right.
Or when you want to hear about X, Y, and Z, right? So it's rapidly changing, and the growth at which people can go from conceivably a zero audience to matching the New York Times is like incredibly quick. I'm seeing it speed up, in front of my eyes. I'm at the Super Bowl, and like the most well-known people at these parties are not who you would think they are. They're the people that have come out of left field in the last 6 months and have exploded, and they're at the top of everyone's feed in social video.
I share with my clients all the time who approach us. We own a production company, and we produce a whole bunch of podcasts that are out there. And one of the things that I share with my clients is if you think that you're coming into this space and going to be the next Joe Rogan, Tim Ferriss, Tony Robbins as it relates to audience growth, I'm saying I don't know that you can't get there, but I'd
Mhm.
rather have 200 people that are engaged in taking action than 2 million people that are doing jack shit. And I'm not saying Joe
Mhm.
Rogan's audience doesn't do anything. They might do a whole bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
But I love the idea of having 200 people queue up every week to say, I want to listen to X, Y, and Z podcast, and I'm going to show up at your conference room and I'm going to take a seat. How excited would you be if you had 50 people every week show up at your conference room and want to hear from you? So for me, it's all about that. The question, though, gets to be, how do you get large, or how do you scale and still keep that single engagement philosophy with your company or with your podcast? How does one do that? Because isn't that really the special tool or the special characteristic that Gary has in what he
Yeah.
does?
I mean, I think it comes back to like why you like what are you looking to get out of it? And I think there's definitely a big world where people are doing it because they look at Gary or they look at Joe Rogan or they look at something and they see the following numbers or they see the money and they say, I'm going to do it for that reason. And they don't realize that those people are not doing it for that reason. And that's why they got there.
Right. Yeah. What is it? The tail
Like
wagging
Joe
the dog?
Rogan, I don't know personally. I've been in a room with him once when Gary went on his podcast, but everything I hear him talk about, he just likes to record the show, has a small team that puts it out, and is not focused or fascinated on how do I grow this thing? How do I make this bigger? What he seems to thoroughly enjoy is talking to super interesting people for 3 hours in a long breath conversation and then let the world listen to it. And do it over and over and over again. And because that's what he wants, that's what people are into. But if you come into it and say, how do I go from 0 to 500 to 1,000 to 10,000? I'm going to do the things that do that. You're likely not going to achieve that because you're not actually focused on.
I love it because you're so on point, and I'm going to take that little clip and I'm going to share that with all of my new clients, because the reality of it is you are 100% right. If what you're focused on is audience growth and less on content creation and having interesting conversations with people, you are going to, I'm not going to say you're going to 100% of the time fail, but you're not going to achieve the goal, because if the goal is more, that is a really hard goal to always attain. Because as soon as you get to the more spot, you're going to want more than that, and you're never going to be satisfied.
100%. Now there's strategy, and the strategy will continue to become more important in terms of like the vehicle in which you want to deliver that thing across. Now that could be, again, podcasting. There's a lot of different ways to be successful with podcasting, whether that's having your SEO type for search, whether that's doing social clips in and around that, whether that's a good intro and hook to let people know what they're about to listen to. All of these things, which help. Short form, I could talk about for 30 minutes, different strategies. Right now, carousels of music, like all of those things as to what the platforms might show a little bit more of. But if the substance that's filling the pipe is only done because you think someone else is going to like you more because of it, that will fall out quick and you will never get past the thing. All the biggest creators are people that I've talked to that have had the most amount of growth. They're doing it because it's something that they love doing, and then they decided they're going to show the world about it.
Amen.
They didn't say,
Amen.
I want the world to know me. What should I do that about?
Do what you are passionate about. The money always comes. The followers always come. And it doesn't have to be, you can make a healthy mid-6-figure income plus without having thousands of listens. You could literally do that with having 200 people listening to your show if you have a podcast that's tied to a business that's related to whatever it is that you're passionate about in life. And we have just been, I'm going to, be a little bit self-deprecating for 1 second. We've just been dumb enough to stay in the game for 10 years, consistently put out a message for 10 years, not focus on building. Like, I just listened to what my audience, one guy in my audience 8 or 9 years ago said, "Hey, Doug, I love that you're talking about, being nice in business and customer service and all of that, but could you teach me how to build a podcast?" And I could have said, "Well, Lou, that's not what we do. I'm not going to, I don't really have a passion." But I said, "I don't know. Let's have a conversation. Let's start that talk." That conversation was the first of over 300 clients that we have had over the last 8 or 9 years building this business. Millions of dollars of revenue generated. Had I not been open to listening to what that person was saying, Lou Diamond in our audience.
It's amazing. And that's the one. And that's the one.
That's the one guy.
And that's the one. And being in the game, staying close to the action, being in the mix, what I say, you might have taken it, because I always look back and think, and less recently, I haven't done many of these, but people would say, "What do you want to be in 5 years? Where do you want to see this go?" And I'm like, just be in the game, be in the mix, because that then happens. If you're not putting out the content or you're not doing a podcast, the person's not then giving you feedback on the thing or thinking for you because you did this and then pivoting you there. Otherwise, you're just sitting on your fingers saying, maybe I should do a podcast.
Well, if you ever get too big not to be in the hunt, then you're not doing something that you're passionate about. If your goal is to get out of what you're doing, then that is not a good opportunity for you. Talk about, go back to those early stages, 2013, 14, when you started with VaynerMedia. Talk about, you were a doer. I mean, that's what you did. You were a runner for Gary, and you did a whole bunch of, you were on the team and you were a team player, and you would go in I remember in the beginning, you were like a one-arm paper hanger doing all the shit that you had to do to get shit done.
Yep.
But in the position that you're in now, at VP of Core Relationships, you've got to learn how to delegate. So how did you bring yourself to the point where you said, I can't be a doer for everything. I now have to be a delegator, or I've got to delete some of these things. Talk about that for a second.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think it's funny because I still think of myself as that. And I still think of a lot of what I spend my time on is back to my roots of hospitality and service. But I think of it almost for the people that work on my team or that I work with.
Well, they're your customers now.
Correct. That's exactly right.
Right.
So to teach them and show them that these things are possible and this is how we roll and this is the ideology of how we think about things, and then empower you to go then and do it. Because like the greatest gift that I think what really worked for me was reframing thoughts around work and almost decoupling from schooling, if you will, and decoupling from this transactional nature of like, you get a salary for X and you do X, and then a year later you get a little bit of a promotion and a little bit of a raise, and
it's all blurred. It's all blurred.
And so I guess to go back to your question of like just the transition is just like, I was given a ton of opportunity, hopefully deliver on that opportunity, recognize now that I can spread and create more of those opportunities, give those to those people, and it kind of creates a coupling effect if we want to scale and get more done. And so it's almost about like, because I still see it, and I see it at times within myself, but like people they tend to hoard opportunities thinking that they may never get them again, or that I got this one now and I can't let you in on it because I need to be the one to deliver against this because it'll make me look good. And that then leads to like, net zero at the bottom versus how can
I keep thinking about if you give, and I know you're probably great at this because of the amount of work that is thrown in your direction from top down, or from people that you're feeling like is your customer, that might be somebody that's on your team. When you give stuff away, it comes back to reward you 10x. So you give opportunity away. I always feel like there are takers in the world. I tend not to surround myself with a lot of takers. I tend to surround myself with givers because I love to give. I feel like if you lead with giving first, the reward always comes back to benefit you. Maybe that is from my feeling of I love to serve, and serving for me is almost, it's like it's a selfish thing. I love to serve because it makes me feel good.
Totally.
And the benefit also is, hey, it's good for the person I'm serving also, but 100%. I don't even think about it that way. I think about selfishly. I think about it as I give so that I can receive back in return. And, but without any like, feelings of entitlement that I'm going to get it back. I just know it comes back. It always does.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. And I've had to get better at that, frankly. And I've had to, as I've grown and gotten older, and I'm very I think the way that have now started to frame it is like, yeah, you should be trying to early on do as much as possible, learn as much, like give, deliver for people, and it'll come back around. And I've now, as I am maybe responsible for more people or have a little bit more clarity in terms of the family life I want to have and all those things, there are certain areas where I'm like, okay, it's not responsible for me to do this move because not that it may not come back around, but like, or it's okay to also enter into something that is reciprocal because my family might depend on it, or then I can use that to leverage in another area. And so there's certain, and I've really enjoyed that, right? Like uh, in some ways it's whether it's the notion of capitalism or like you also can be transparent about certain things as to why you want to do them, and it's okay to look to build a business. Like for in your instance, there's a time in my life where I would have been you and just been helping people with their podcast and not been like, let me make it a business and
Right.
deliver an actual
Right.
service.
Right.
And
Right.
that service is worth that cost. And I'm still doing for them and I'm going to over deliver and make it great. But that doesn't mean I should need to take 45-minute phone calls for free all the time and help people out, get their podcast off the ground because they're going to come back and do something for me at some point.
Right, right. I agree with you. I think that you have to learn when to put up the gate and just say, you know what, I know how to do this. I put in my 10,000 hours. I don't have to take that 45-minute long pick your brain session any
And I
longer.
think it then loops back around to like, okay, now I got that solidified and I feel good about it. Let me go find another area where I will put that 10,000 hours in
Yep.
so that I can do it in that space, in that world, while also know that I'm going to deliver clear value over here. And that's been like a fun educational journey of how to do that and feels good and is empowering.
What would be something that you would have told your younger self had you gotten the opportunity to share something with your younger self that he would actually take into account and change about the earlier part of your career? I just remember those early conversations with you. Now you didn't know me from anybody. You took my call, which was great in the beginning, but it was a little rough to try to get the commitment, not only from you, but
Yep.
from Gary's schedule when he originally came on the show. This is probably 8 or 9 years ago. But
Yep.
what's interesting is that I think about the advice that I would give that younger self. You were moving in a million miles an hour. Like, what would you
Yeah.
tell yourself way back when? Maybe nothing. Maybe you did it all right. But is there
Yeah, I
something you?
don't really I definitely don't think I did it all right. I definitely don't think I did it all right at all. But if I sit here today, there's not much that immediately jumps out to me that says if you knew this or if you did this differently, it would have it would have changed. I mean, because there's peaks and valleys and there's been good days and there's been bad days, but I'm like
That still
the
happens.
journey's been amazing and been grateful. Yeah, and I don't like I'm now more aware. When we were just in it, the growth phase of everything, we were just in it and enjoying it very much. There's now this awareness of what it was looking back on it that is a bit different, but I don't think it would have changed much. And now it's fun. We're kind of stepping into the same almost chapter again with trying to build out V-Friends, which is our version of Marvel and Disney and kind of edutainment. I just finished reading the Lego book, but I don't.
Okay,
For that
fair.
answer, it's boring. I really don't. Nothing jumps out to me other than maybe certain nights stay out an hour later because you won't remember that you were that tired and enjoy that last hour. And
Here's a chance to maybe blow a horn or ring the bell to a certain degree. What do you feel? This is going to be such a self-serving softball question. I just hate to for yourself. I don't want you to take it in the word. You interpret the words however you feel like you interpret them. Do you feel like you have been a part of Gary's success? And what degree do you feel like you've been a part of that success as the company has it not only just the personal brand, but the brand itself? What part
yeah,
of that success do you think you've played a role in?
um, I do like. Uh, Let me see. How would I
I,
frame this? The answer is yes.
okay, good.
The answer
What?
is yes
Good answer.
because I was here, and what I mean by that is, do I think Gary would have the same amount of success or notoriety if I wasn't around? Sure, I do. I do. Do I view that if I didn't step in and to the spot I did when I did, do I think he would still be on a journey of great success? I do. Um, but do I think that I was like a key part of the
Yeah.
fabric over a course of time? I definitely do. And whether that just sits with me and my body and my brain, like that's more than
No,
enough
I
for
agree with
me,
you 100%.
So
Yeah.
like I definitely myself, I talk about Andy Kranak and D-Rock and myself a lot I also don't think I would have been able to do what I did without them
Mm-hmm.
as much, even with obviously Gary's mentorship, guidance, and leadership. But like the three of us, the friendship that we had, the way that we were able to be there for each other in some tough times and moments was really cool. And we'll always have that together. But sure, I do. Because if I don't, then it's like, and there's probably days where I would have answered and said no. And I think looking back on that, I'm like, that is not the person I wanted to be.
Right. No, that's good.
Because
That's
that's
good.
kind of small energy, and that's kind of like, if no one else is going to say it for you, why the fuck not say it for yourself a little bit, you
I uh,
know?
I think about the importance of having this platform that I've had over the last 10 years of doing this, and how instrumental it's been in shaping, from my 50s to my 60s as a business owner, and as I get into the next phase of my career. And I don't look at it like I'm pedal to the metal until retirement. I don't want to be pedal to the metal. I was pedal to the metal from 21 until 50, and it's like, okay,
Mm.
I want to coast a little bit more. I want to enjoy what I've been doing. I think about the platform that I've had and these great people that have been sitting in the guest seat. Everything from Grant Cardone, Ariana Huffington. I always use Gary V as, hey, he was on the show.
Yep.
John C. Maxwell. So many, Marshall Goldsmith. So many big, heavy players, and the idea of getting all of this free coaching as they're sitting in this guest seat.
Yeah.
What's it like to be able to have access to a superstar, and feel like, okay, this is pretty cool. I'm able to, if I wanted to ask a question that I needed an answer to, you have a resource to be able to go to immediately.
Yeah.
Is that a confidence builder for you, or is that just you're so used to it now it doesn't
For
even?
sure. It is. It is. It definitely is. It's really neat. It's in some ways, it takes other things to remind me at times that it's not just the norm,
What, like a
if you
swift kick in
will.
the ass by somebody
Or
else?
just like a friend's parent the other day like texted me and was like, I just listened to this podcast that Gary was on. It was amazing. Like, you're so fortunate that you're able to like learn from him.
Reminder, there's the
And in
bell.
some ways, look, I'm 33. I've worked for him for 11 years. Like, he's like an older brother of mine.
Right.
But I imagine for the most part, most brothers aren't like, oh, how lucky am I that I have that big
Right.
brother?
Right. Right.
You know,
Right.
they're like, this is my life.
This is
That's my
my
big
brother.
brother.
Right.
He's fucking amazing. It's great,
Right.
but like we do our thing,
All right. So
and
think
so
about it for a
does
second.
that make sense? Does that
So
make sense? Because
100%.
it is 100% super cool, and I'm incredibly fortunate, and a lot of my life has been impacted by that.
I feel there two figures in my life, my dad and my brother. My brother, they're both passed, but my brother
Sorry.
was a radio personality in Baltimore, and it was just he was just my brother. Detour Dave. It's just my brother.
Yeah.
He's the guy that does
Yeah.
the traffic, name brand. My dad, Dave Sandler, creator of Sandler Sales, huge icon in the world of selling. Again, I think about it only when I'm reminded of it, and it's so great to be reminded of it, because then I think, man, I've had these influences in my life that have had a huge impact for me in defining who I am and how I answer questions and how I built my business. But I don't think about, like, when I'm making a decision, do my wheels think Dave Sandler? Do my wheels think Detour Dave? That's just who I am. They were just
Yep.
my dad and my brother, just like Gary is
Exactly.
just your
Correct.
guy, your guy in
Correct.
your corner.
And it's like such a core fabric of who I am and what I'm up to. And him and I talk all very, very, very often. But I'm kind of not like, how fortunate am I that I get to be able to go to him and ask him this question, because he, more than anyone else, it's like, that's my life. And,
So,
and it's great. And
so
for sure, it's super cool. But I also, it's fun to think back on, and again, like just reflecting on myself at times, um, the things in my life that led me to, in 2013, taking the job, recognizing it as something different and special, recognizing him as something different and special, hitching to that wagon and not letting go for this amount of time. also came from other places,
Right.
you know,
Right.
which is also super cool. So there's a lot of that to it, but hell yeah. I mean, just last night we were hanging out in the office till 7:30, 7:45, and I'm like, how lucky am I? This is sick.
Well, it's funny you say that hanging out till 7:30, 7:45. I was probably getting close to bedtime for me out here. I think about what have I done in the last 10 years or 15 years to create some balance in my life, putting some me time on my schedule, getting back into the gym regularly over the last 8 or 9 years, going
Nice.
hiking, moving to California from the East Coast, definite life changer for me, just a whole different environment. What's the stuff that you do, even as a early mid 30s guy, that creates balance? Because for you, you probably could stay out late, party all you want, work until
Hmm.
whatever time you want, get zero sleep and still be able to do your job as effectively
Yeah.
the next day. I don't know that I could do that anymore. So what is
Yeah.
it that creates that balance in your life?
I'm in a pretty serious and committed relationship, which has been super cool and super fun over the last kind of 18 months or so. And that's been a lot of new learnings. I never really had that previously. That's challenged me in a lot of fun ways. The two of us are very into, she's a skier, I'm a snowboarder. We'll actually go up to Vermont this weekend again. I think I've done maybe 15 days on the mountain so far this year. And an area where I think we will continue to spend a lot of time. The outdoors is an area like I
Yeah.
love camping. My dreams are to have a bit of my own farming ecosystem with chickens and agriculture and all that. I like there's parts of Martha Stewart where I'm like that. I need to
Not the
live like
jail part,
that.
not the jail
Yeah,
part.
not the jail part. Although that may be a unique experience. She had it, well, whatever. She had the good side of it comparatively. But I meditate. I meditate fairly often. I definitely try my hand at getting in the gym a couple times a week. Anything competitive is
Mhm.
always an outlet for
Well,
me, whether
you're
that's
a sporting guy,
basketball.
aren't you? I mean, you have
Yeah.
two guys that you were doing a YouTube channel. I don't know if you're still doing it, but you were doing it for
Yeah,
a
we're
while and
doing
talking
card
sports.
talk. Yep,
Yeah.
talking sports and sports cards. I'm actually working on revamping that and getting that going. Even just coming on here, I've in the last month I've recorded 4 podcast episodes in person at my apartment with people, and now I'm just like working through the motions and getting my fingers dirty of getting it out, getting it live, which I'm excited about. So those are different. Those are different areas. I try to just be outside. I try
Yeah.
to be in nature and as we will continue to rear down this digitalized path of whether it's communication consumption, money being all on the internet, everything being digital, how can I counterbalance that with physical in world in reality stuff, because sometimes you can just live your life through this screen or that screen and your mind exists in a different planet even on the internet, and sometimes it's just good to literally go for a walk and try to like process everything that's around you, and I enjoy a lot of that very much so.
So
I've been
Tyler,
going
so
to my coffee shop, like I really like the morning, going to the coffee shop, I read, I get a coffee, and I just watch people as they come in, and it's been like an amazing way to start my day.
well, you're staying in the action. I know that's one of the
Yeah,
things that you definitely have aspired to or has set it as a goal, whether it's a 2025 goal or it's something that you've had over the last few years. I
yeah,
recognize that as a theme that you are running through a lot of your posts and your anything that you're publishing. What's
I
uh
appreciate
what's
that.
next on the agenda? I mean, you've ascended to a great position with VaynerX, and what comes next for you, either there or in your life?
Um, there here, Super Bowl was great. V-Friends is an area that I'm really having fun and excited about, and I read the Lego book, and it has fulfilled me a lot in that they're coming up on 100 years in business. I'm
Mhm.
Danish. I grew up playing with those toys. They were in business like 15 years before they even stumbled across making the plastic brick. They started out as a wood shop making wooden toys at the kind of the start of World War II. And so just like going back to here's VFriends, a 3-year-old company that I've been around since the beginning, that has big ambitions, that believes in kind of spreading these very positive messages out into the world, and that balance is important, and your uniqueness is important, and there's a million ways to do that. And we're going down a path that IQ and memorization and the things that I was judged on up until probably I was 18 or 21 years old are becoming far and far less valuable comparatively, because you got ChatGPT and all these other tools. But things like being nice, being empathetic, understanding other people's perspectives, that is like the true magic now. And through these 260 plus characters that Gary has created and put out into the world, we're trying to drive those messages to people of all shapes and sizes, ages, backgrounds, all across the world. And that's a big challenge that we have, but we're having fun with it, in our different ways of doing business and building through the media. And I'm doing it with some of my best friends, which is great. I couldn't ask for more. And then on the personal side, just continuing to kind of push forth and take care of my family and my people around me, and see where that all goes.
Build that relationship. It's very humbling to have a person in your life that you can call your partner, and 18 months in, and you're probably still new in that honeymoon phase, but keep going even through those challenging times. It really does challenge you as a person, and it does make a lot of difference, not only in your personal work, but in your business life too. As you are a relationship builder at home, that same attitude actually comes into the office a lot, even if it's a small office. That attitude translates.
Yeah, I definitely feel that and have enjoyed that. And it's given me purpose in a lot of other areas that I wouldn't have thought, if you will.
Well, Tyler, cool. I so appreciate you spending a little bit of time with me. I'm looking forward. I didn't know that VFriends was something that was on the agenda, and I'm happy to help promote, launch, whatever things that you have going on. Feel free to connect with me. We'll do it again.
We'll definitely do so. Doug, this has been amazing. Thank you. And it's inspiring seeing you do it. When we first got on it, you might have said there's like 1,300 episodes in between, and I'm like, damn, I got some work to do, because that's good shit right there. Consistency is the name of the game.
It is.
You should be proud.
Well, thanks, Tyler. Thanks for being here. Nice Guy community, never underestimate the power of nice. Again, special thanks to Tyler Schmitt. All of his information, including access to his all of his socials, will be right there in the show notes. Steve O'Brien, go ahead and take us out of here.
If you're hearing my voice right now, you obviously enjoy the podcast. So why not help the guys out? Click on the Patreon link in the show notes, and for as little as $2 a month, you can show your support. Or show us whatever you want.